I'm not afraid of any of you. When it comes word to word, I will gab with the best of them, just so I can chill and be me.
Dave Chappelle is one funny comedian. Hopefully you can learn from his success. Watch and learn from his 10 rules of greatness.
For all the things that I've done, I'm most renowned for what I didn't do. I've made decisions in my career that a lot of people have called insane. 2004, had a $50 million deal on the table, and in a crisis of conscience, flipped the table over and walked away. Went to South Africa. Everyone said I was running away from the money. That is not true. In fact, I still want that money. The idea that I wanted to just share with you guys is the idea that sometimes you do what you think is best, whether anybody understands it or not. I heard a story about my father where someone told me he used to do statistics for a company in DC. The company he did statistics for started doing business with the South African government, so he quit his job. It's caused a lot of problems between him and his wife. It's hard for a man when he can't provide for his family the way he wants to, and he suffered through it. And a generation later, when I had my crisis of conscience, I was able to go to a free South Africa and get away from the heat. This idea that what you do in your lifetime informs the generations that comes after you is something I keep thinking about, something that is so much bigger than just ourselves. I just want you guys to remember, you know, that right now there's this thing where ethics aren't what they used to be. This idea that people are trying to replace the ideas of good and bad with better or worse, and that is incorrect. You gotta keep your ethics intact because good and bad is a compass that helps you find the way. And a person that only does what's better or worse is the easiest type of person to control. They are a mouse in a maze that just finds the cheese. But the one who knows about good and bad will realize that he's in a maze. I was prepared enough.
Yeah.
I mean, was I as good as Aretha Franklin? No.
Well, no.
But my job is just to get people used to looking at the stage. I'm the opening act.
Yeah.
It mattered to me if I did good, but nobody really cared.
Is this, now, at a big gig like this, they have a rehearsal? Do they have a walkthrough? Do they have like a sound checks and that kind of thing?
I don't know. I imagine there'll be a sound check. You know, you can either go or send a guy.
Right. But when you were 19, did you go for a sound check?
Well, I skipped it, which was a terrible mistake.
That was a mistake.
It was a terrible mistake. I skipped the sound check, and nobody could hear me for the first 3 minutes. But you know what it is, Dave? You've been a stand-up for many years, and you know, you probably get that question when people say, oh my God, you're a comedian. Well, what happens if you go out there and you tell your jokes and no one laughs? Nothing happens. You get paid the same, you're not gonna die, nothing bad happens, so I keep it all in perspective. Normally when you're like successful in comedy, you know, you get off the plane or the bus, you do the hit, you go back to the hotel, you get back on the bus, you don't really see anything. You don't really, like even now, like this last run we did here in Austin, we was here for weeks. And then I got to see Austin. I got to find restaurants I like. I met people that I probably called because I'm in town, stuff like that. And it was like that all over the world, not just the country. I started going around and just seeing the world. I got overwhelmed with this idea that none of my information was firsthand. I just read it in books or heard it from friends, and I was eager to just see something for myself. And I kind of entrenched this philosophy that my memories are some of the most valuable things that I have. These firsthand experiences. Can't take that away from if I reminisce on a nice day, then you know it feeds you. Remembering something is neurologically almost identical, I've read, to experiencing it. I watched one of these nature shows one time, and they were talking about how a bushman finds water when it's scarce. And they do what's called a salt trap. I didn't know this. Apparently baboons love salt.
Okay.
So they put a lump of salt in a hole, and they wait for the baboon. The baboon comes, sticks his hand in the hole, grabs the salt makes his hand bigger, and he's trapped. He can't get his hand out. Baboon doesn't want to let go of the salt. Then the bushman just comes, takes the baboon, throws him in the cage, and gives him all the salt he wants. And then the baboon gets thirsty. The bushman lets him out of the cage. The first place the baboon runs to is water. The bushman follows him, and they both drink to their fill. And in that analogy, I felt like the baboon. But I was smart enough to let go of the salt. The hero stumbles, while the cowards rejoice. Nothing feels better to a coward than to watch a brave guy fall. It's okay to be afraid, because you can't be brave or courageous without fear. The idea of being courageous is that even though you're scared, you just do the right thing anyway. If you look at life, anything in life, through the framework of money, you'll miss most of the picture. You know, in business, especially at this stage in our careers, you realize through the years, people play incentives. You know what I mean? That if they're incentivized a certain way, then that's the way they're going to behave. So what they want is never really surprising. How they get there is where all the surprises are. So I feel like I can forgive somebody for playing an incentive. It's disappointing. But what was so remarkable when I walked away from the show is that it was against incentive. So people couldn't understand it at the time. It was so much money. How could you do that? And blah, blah, blah. But you know, if I had taken that money and finished the show, I would have got the money, but I might never have been the same. I was a soft kid. I was sensitive, I'd cry easy, and I would be scared to fist fight. And my mother used to tell me this thing, I don't even know if you remember, but you said this to me more than once. You said, son, sometimes you have to be a lion so you can be the lamb you really are. I talk this like a lion. I'm not afraid of any of you. When it comes word to word, I will gab with the best of them, just so I can chill and be me. And that's why I love my art form, because I understand every practitioner of it. Whether I agree with them or not, I know where they're coming from. They want to be heard. They got something to say. There's something they notice. They just want to be understood. Love this genre. It saved my life.
It was like a graduation lunch we were having, and they had my dad come and talk to me, and my dad takes me outside, and he's like, listen, and this is some advice that applies to all you acting students. He says, to be an actor is a lonely life. Everybody wants to make it, and you might not make it. And I said to my dad, well, that depends on what making it is, Dad. He was a smart-ass kid. Yeah. It depends on what making it is, Dad. He says, what do you mean? I said, well, you're a teacher. I said, if I could make a teacher salary doing comedy, I think that's better than being a teacher. And he started laughing. He said, if you keep that attitude, I think you should go. He said, but name your price in the beginning. If it ever gets more expensive than the price you name, get out of there. Mm-hmm. If you want to be a good comedian, you got to take acting classes. And they didn't explain it. But after that, I went home and I said, Mom, I got to take acting classes. I had never bombed, let alone got booed off stage. And bombing was horrifying. Nobody wants to bomb. People say, you do comedy, what happens if nobody laughs? I don't know. So that night was liberating because I failed so far beyond my wildest nightmares of failing that it was like, hey, they're all booing. My friends are here watching, my mom. This is not that bad. And after that, I was fearless. I just like having fun. When I'm on stage, I get real happy up there. Like maybe that's the only time in my adult life that I feel like myself. You're standing up there, you know what I mean? Like a gladiator. And them lights is on you, and you look down, and it's just all these smiles around you, and they get dressed. They put perfume on and stuff, and they're going to see your show. That feels good, man. These people, you know, they love you. Even if it's for a minute, they really do. They love you, man. You know, it's like a love fest.
Everything changed after I had children. I took my professional life more seriously. And then I think just as a dude, I had more depth after I had kids. When you're young, you know that you're only as good as your last show and all that stuff. And so, you know, you'll meet comics who'll do a bad show and then feel bad about themselves. I don't do that anymore. For me, the beauty is in the attempt. The beauty is in like that long walk to the stage, to the microphone. I can't explain it, but that's what it is. Like, you know, the eye contact. You know, one time I was at a show and my kids were there and I was getting heckled and all kinds of stuff. And I remember I looked at my son, he was standing on the side of the stage and he's looking at all this chaos, and I go, son, they'll never break me. And we both started laughing. It was chaos out there. We both started laughing, but that's kind of what it is. It's just like, it's fun. Washington, D.C., thank you very much for giving me a home and a place to start. Today is officially Dave Chappelle Day in Washington, D.C. The mayor declared it last night. So, in the future, on Dave Chappelle Day, I ask everyone who wishes to celebrate it to make one incredible memory for themselves and or somebody else. Thank you very much. Good night.
Success leaves clues. So if you adopt some of Dave Chappelle's rules of greatness, you shall become more successful in your life. If you're not achieving your dreams, try adopting some behaviors successful people do. Dave Chappelle, keep cracking us up.